Um, James, so I think we've already touched on this. I just want you to like reiterate it. But obviously, a lot of particularly first time software buyers that they're going to believe that they put in a maintenance system in place, it's going to fix everything. But obviously, that's not the answer. What do you feel needs to be set up correctly in place first before any sort of selection or implementation of a maintenance system can take place?
Yeah, so I think if you're buying any CMMS, the first thing to fix is, or the first thing to be very, very cautious of and aware of, is a CMMS will amplify any problems or process issues that you already have. So if you've got a poor process and poor data, and you might buy the best CMMS system you can get your hands on, that CMS system will amplify the issue that you've got. So you have to fix your core fundamentals first. So having a really good structure, really good process, making sure your data, the data that you have in your system is good and reliable and believable, is fundamental before you go and enhance any of that. And there's no, one of the biggest risks you have is that if you buy the wrong system, it's like the biggest risk you actually have is you're buying the right system that nobody will use. So if you might
Absolutely.
spend millions on buying this fantastic system, but if nobody uses it, it's worthless. And that's the kind of bit is, get your team involved, get your engineers, get your maintenance staff involved in what do they want to have to make their roles easier, and for them to see value in that tool, and that will help you guide you on the right equipment to go and buy. And that is probably the big thing I would say back here is, don't be sold into the nice AI shiny bits over here, because your fundamental core bit needs to work.
So,
Yeah, and I suppose having that team involved from the outset also helps with user adoption, that field adoption.
100%. You
Making
need,
sure there's no workarounds.
yeah, absolutely. You need to have the SMEs of that tool need to sit within your team as a
Mm,
maintenance team. If the person that they can't, they need to be able to turn to the person in their team and go, show me how to do this. I can't remember how to do that, or I can't log on to
yeah,
here. You need to have the SMEs embedded in your team, feeling ownership of that tool and feeling proud of the tool. If it's a tool that is forced upon them and they don't want to use it, then one, culturally, you'll find that there'll be workarounds, and you'll find that your data in there will be very, very weak and it'll be poor. And you won't be able to use the things that you want to. You may have bought the tool for, which is all the AI stuff in the future and the predictive maintenance, and none of that will work if your base documents and information is poor. So get your right standards in place, get the teams involved, and just remember, whatever system you put in, if it's poor, the CMS will amplify that poor data, and it will really visualize how bad it is. And I think that's sort of one of the things that I found at joining East Midlands Airport, was that is sort of uncovered through our program. The good news is we already kind of knew that it was there, but
sure.
having that ability to then find it and fix it, and really pleased to say we've fixed it now, and we're now into the
Hmm.
optimization stage of that data to go and really think about what's the right work order to put, or what's the right planned maintenance process to put against these assets. And some of them may
Sure.
be run to fail, and that's fine. That's a good structure for certain asset groups, but others are condition monitoring because they're critical. So it's defining that right process in place. And if you're working in an enterprise or a group, make sure you've set that out across your group so that you can return on your investment across the enterprise, not just at individual factory level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. James, with maintenance specifically, less probably with enterprise asset management, but more with maintenance, sometimes the decision makers are not close to maintenance, and it's difficult to put a number to an experience. Uh, how do you actually go about building up a case with your management on spend for maintenance or spend for MRO or spend for training? This might be some of the hard conversations, right? Because there's no actual number to put to it. It connects to the experience. It connects to the throughput of the airport. How do you go about that?
Yeah, so I guess what I would say is at MAG, I'm extremely fortunate in the fact that our CEO, CFO, and board absolutely are fully behind the maintenance journey and the asset standard. That's one of the things why, for me, this was a great move to go to. Um, I would say you have to look at it from a lens of a business lens. If you was to go and say, listen, we need this system because I can maintain something quicker, it's not going to work, right? So you have to go into what are we trying to protect? So we're trying to reduce our risk across our estate. We're trying to improve our safety for everybody that operates the asset, but also our passengers and our passengers going through it. I would drive on the revenue. If you can look at stuff and you can show the return on investment because you're optimizing that asset base and maybe you're not maintaining it as much and therefore you're not spending as much. Or you could actually realize you've got too many assets. And by optimizing the process and giving really getting on top of the OEE and fixing performance and quality of that asset might mean you don't need as many assets.
Sure.
In that space,
sure.
So that returns. But then you have to bring it into that passenger experience. It's as I say for Manchester Airport Group, it is about what is the right experience for that passenger. Are they going to spend a bit more money if they're happy? But also from a cargo point of view, we want to be seamless through our cargo operation because I want to draw in more cargo operators that want to fly into the UK and use East Midlands Airport. So it's really about don't focus on the maintenance stuff. And the maintenance department will always go into I can maintain this better, I can do this. You have to bring it back to cost, risk, performance improvements across the business and tangibly link them to a business KPI, and that will often return back on the sales pitch because it's relatable at a business level.
Yeah, and I think you're in an incredible position as well, James, to give some advice to those maintenance managers who are now looking and they're selecting or implementing process of either getting a asset maintenance system in or EAM system in as well. What are the 3 things that someone really needs to get right before any of that selection process begins?
Yeah, it's probably going back to what I said, data. Clean your data first. You have to have good, clean data. Ensure that engagement is in with the end user and almost become subservient to them, knowing what they want and how they want it to be done. And then invest as much money in change as you're investing in technology. Don't just think you're going to buy the best kit, it's going to work. You have to invest in change. You have to put that change management theory in place, whether that's culture, whether that's process. You have to invest within both of those. And I think really kind of closing that out is, a CMMS is as much of a business change program as it is an IT program.
Totally.
And I think that's where a lot of companies get it wrong. They think about an IT deployment tool, they chuck it over the fence and go get on with it. And it's not that at all. You have to have those fundamentals in place.